talking about the Dallas Cowboys and how they've been starting to lose, but they still are atop of the NFC East playoff picture. And we've been asking these last couple weeks in our newest segment, In or Out, we've been asking the question,
playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
I just hope we can win a game. We've been saying that the last 3 weeks, and Washington has been winning the games. Yeah, baby. So we are going to go, and I'm going to bring up the playoffs, the most recent playoff picture.
There we go.
Bring you under here. Dave, I know you can't see this, right? Can you see this, Dave?
I can see it. I just can't read it, but it's all good. What conference are we in?
All right, we're going to start with the NFC, and the first person I'm going to go with is Delilah. Delilah, so what we're going to do with this one this week, ladies and gentlemen, we know a lot of these teams right now are in the playoffs, and the majority of them, with the exception of maybe the last two in each conference, will most likely be making it. Actually, in the AFC, the last two might be making it there. But we are going to ask the question, who is the number one team that we think, and it might not be the number one seed at the moment, right. Who is the team that we think will not be here at the end of the season? And then we'll go into both conferences and do that, and then kind of ask how accurate these are right now. So I'm going to start off with you, Delilah, and I'm going to come in the NFC. Which team in the NFC? First and foremost, number one seed right now, as of today, at 9-2, is the Cardinals. The number 2 seed right now is the 9-3 Packers, who would play the 7 seed Washington football team at 5-6. The number 3 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 8-3 would play the 6-5 49ers at the 6 seed at 6-5. And the Cowboys, number 4 seed at 7-4, would play the number 5 seed 7-4 Rams. Delilah, I'm coming to you first. Which team in the NFC do you think is most secure? They're the safest bet or the best team. Like, you can rely on them.
I don't know if they're the best team, but I think Arizona is still secure. And it's because I talked about them in a while back, and it's because they're winning without their number 1 QB. They've won without their head coach. Right. So I'm saying all around, if you're looking at them just all around, they look really great. And I'm like, I'm not saying they'll keep that number 1 seed, but they're for sure going to make the playoffs. And I could see them passing that first round.
Nice.
Rather they're 1 or 2.
Right. How are we feeling? Is that a consensus among us, Nick and Dave, or do you think there's anybody else?
Say for me, Sean, and this is your favorite trophy thrower, I got to go with the Buccaneers out of these 7, my friend.
Nice.
These guys are playoff tested. These guys are ready. I think they're starting to come along now. They've had a few troubles. They've lost a few games they probably shouldn't have. But again, when Tom Brady is at the helm, my friend, it's hard to bet against them. And again, they're the 3 seed right now, but I could easily see them finishing 1 or 2 in this conference. And again, playoff tested, my friend. You're the defending Super Bowl champs. We know it's not easy to repeat, but there's so much parity in this NFC that it's hard not to kind of go with Tampa Bay and be like, they're the one solid team that you trust more than any other here. Now, again, people could argue Green Bay, but Green Bay has their own issues. And again, I'm not saying – I'm pretty sure they'll make the playoffs Tampa as well. But I'm going to go with Tampa as my team right now to totally move on and go deep into the playoffs in the NFC this year.
Yeah. Nick, Dave, do you agree with Tampa, or I know you were shaking your head about Arizona. What do you think?
I'm actually with Nick here for one reason only. Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady versus Kyler Murray versus Dak Prescott versus Matt Stafford versus Jimmy G versus Taylor Heineke.
Right. I'm not hating on that.
Aaron Rodgers has tanked in the playoffs.
I'm not hating on that.
And in the championship
games, my friend, 1-4.
Packers all the way.
Well, of course,
Wendy.
Wendy. There she goes.
But wait, what do you say, Dave?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers has tanked in the playoffs too many times. When in the big game, there isn't a single name that I listed. I got a single team that has a quarterback that has been tested and proven
multiple times
when through adversity.
Right.
You know, they came off that. This goes into what I was saying about the Cowboys. The Cowboys came off a couple bad losses mid-season while you're hot, and obviously didn't learn anything. Tampa lost to Washington, and they come back down to the Colts, and what happened?
Mm-hmm.
They found a way to win.
Yeah.
So you never
That's
leave
what
great time on
champions
And
the
beat
clock
the
with
Giants,
Brady,
too.
my friend. Yes.
Yeah, and beat the Giants too. So
Right.
yeah, definitely. No, I got to go with Delilah here. I think Arizona. I mean, we know about all their injuries. At one point,
Yeah.
they were without J.J. Watt, D. Hop, Kyler Murray, Edmonds, A.J. Green.
Yeah,
they were out all their
Ablo
studs.
made a good point, right? D Hop is out, like you said. Like they don't even have D Hop, who's their number one receiver.
Well, right, and they've still been able to consistently win.
That's what I'm saying.
Whether
yeah.
it's Colt McCoy, whether it's Connor, who's had a resurgence for the Cardinals. Honestly, I really do believe that the Cardinals are that top seed in the NFC, and I think by far they've proven that they can still do it. And as far as regular season, I think they're the top seed going into the playoffs now. We'll see what happens when they get to the playoffs. David, I'm coming to you next,
playoffs?
and I think we know what the answer is going to be, but humor me anyway, Dave. Who is the team in the NFC who you do not think belongs in the playoffs? Oh God.
I'll give you a two-parter. If Kyler Murray can't come back healthy and exactly who he was and stay healthy throughout the rest of the season, Arizona's my team on that list that doesn't belong there. They've played a lot of good games, but we're talking about playoffs. We're not talking about regular season. We're talking about going against all the other teams on this list.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but the Cardinals without Kyler Murray do not belong on this list come December, January, February. So that's my number one, but it's dependent on Kyler Murray. Outside of that, we all know what my answer is. No name, no playoffs.
Like Ash says, the team
Here's the thing. I said
No
it earlier,
name.
the Washington football team, you guys keep talking over on your little show over there about how possibly running the table against the division.
Let's go.
Heineke is going to crap himself on national television
There it is.
watching DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, and Micah Parsons come after him. He
now
might
wait.
just run into the tunnel and leave. I don't know. We may not win the Super Bowl, but we sure as hell gonna beat the football team.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. Look, all I'm going to say is you better be glad there's these two people in between us. All right? I will go over these two people to get to you. They ain't going to talk about my team.
There it
Yo,
is.
and here's Ash saying, that's something David and I can agree on. Get out of here. Look, Delilah, Nick, do you guys agree with him? What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Delilah.
Oh my gosh. So honestly, like of everyone on here, and it doesn't mean that they don't deserve, it's Rams are the ones that have disappointed me the most. They've dropped 3 games in a row. And I think that I agree with a lot of people and a lot of experts who are saying that Stafford is more hurt than they're letting on. And we've seen that happen before, right? Where teams are not 100% like forthcoming when it comes to like their players and their health, because he's not playing like he was, like, right? Like you could 100% tell the difference between how he was playing in the beginning, where he was literally killing it and crushing it, and now you see him now, and it's like it's not the same Matthew Stafford, and that's unfortunate because they really did come out guns blazing, right? And the games that they dropped, you're like, what's going on? And so they're gonna make the playoffs, but I think that they're not gonna make it all the way. I think they're gonna lose the first round. I think and everybody's going to be surprised, but I could definitely see the Cowboys beating the Rams in the if this is how it goes. Only because like just the Rams are shooting themselves in the foot more. That's what I'm saying. It's just like if you and everybody's like, oh, but the Packers won. I'm like, okay, but did you watch that game? Because honestly, just like what always happens, the Rams lost that game more than the Packers actually won it. Right, because Mason Crosby, and I was sitting with Packer fans, they hate him, and they were actually surprised he made those field goals. And I say that from a Packers bar, they're like, "Oh my God, he actually made those points!" Like they want him gone. He's like 43, and they were actually surprised he made all those field goals. And so, and basically what they're saying is that they don't want games to come down to field goals, and I don't blame them. They're right; they shouldn't, right?
Never want that.
And so, and they're right, and they don't want that. And I'm literally quoting Packer fans, and so and before everybody's like, "Oh no," I'm telling you, that's
in the comments. Ab was talking about Stafford was hurt too. So
right,
we do have to put some, that's what she was saying. We do have to put some.
That's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying. I think that he's more hurt than people are letting on. That was exactly my point.
Right.
Is you could see the difference. That was exactly what I'm saying. You could tell from the beginning of the season to right now how his playing is. And so and so that's all I'm saying is I just don't see them going further anymore. I used to in the beginning. I was like, yeah, Rams are gonna. And I just don't see it. I don't think they're gonna make it past the first round.
Yeah, and it's about teams and when they're hot and when they're peaking.
Hey, I'm just telling you what the Packer fans were saying. They're annoyed with Crosby. So hey, don't tell me.
I actually, when I look at this, Sean, like giving the other teams that are in the NFC who are in the hunt. I would actually be fine. I would actually be fine if this were the top 7 at when the playoffs start, because I don't think teams like Carolina or New Orleans,
right,
or Minnesota, they're one and done for sure if they make the playoffs. You know what I mean? They don't have what it takes to make a deep run. They just don't. And that's why I say, like with this list here, like I would be okay if these were the 7 playoff teams.
I can see that.
4 weeks from now. Because again, the Giants too, the Giants, the Eagles, these teams.
There's nobody that you think is going to replace somebody up here.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really I'm not 100% on Washington, even though I know they've won 3 in a row. Yeah, but if you look at kind of the thing though, as I told you, we know everybody hates Washington here, besides Sean. But I'm just saying that in terms of at least. They're out there, and Heineke's doing what he can to manage the team while your 2 best defensive players are not there, and yet you've won 3 games in a row. Right. So again, it's a positive to look at. And again, the other teams are scrambling too. But I just think, even if you guys are one and done, even if you make the playoffs and then you do lose to the Packers, if it stays like this, it just somebody has to be that number 7. You know what I mean? It has to be somebody. And I just think of all the other teams that are involved now. Yeah, see, I don't. I'm not so as much as Kirk Cousins is great with his 23-2.
He won't make a one either. I agree.
Right. I just think overall the Minnesota Vikings team is enough to carry that through.
So you're saying Washington. So you're saying Washington?
Well, I would say I'm not sold on the 49ers either. But out of these 7 teams, I would say Washington is the least likely. Is probably the weakest link right now.
Right.
But at the same time, I wouldn't be disappointed if they ended up making it.
I see what you mean. Like just these teams right now as they are.
If these 7 teams stay the way they are, then that's totally fine with me.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much at least the top, to me, 5 are set. In whatever direction. And then, huh?
So
not an answer.
Are you picking one of them, or you just stick with this?
No, I told you. I qualified my first statement by saying that I would be okay if all of these 7 teams did make it, but to me, the weakest link is the Washington football team.
Right, gotcha.
That's what I'm saying. Right.
I gotcha.
Out of these
so number 1 Bucks.
You're out.
Okay, got it.
If we interchange the Washington football team with any of the other teams in the hunt, do any of us change our answer?
No. I don't think so.
Say that again one more time.
That spot is still the weakest link. Like I said, if Murray is out for the rest of the year, I think they crash and burn.
Where's your faith in Colt McCoy, my friend? Where is your faith?
He was at Washington, so that's where my faith is. He's not.
Where is your faith in Colt McCoy, man?
Yeah, look,
Thank you. Yeah. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Colt McCoy.
Hey,
right.
do not pick on middle of the road quarterbacks, my friend. They've won Super Bowls. Do I have to give examples?
And they also were the reason why the Rams didn't do anything a year ago and made a blockbuster trade to get Matthew Stafford.
Well, sure.
Because they had John Wofford and then an injured Jared Goff, and we've seen Jared Goff. Look, at the end of the day, I think you hit the nail on the head, Dave, with when you looked at the quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, and then you have Colt McCoy, if it's not Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray, obviously, you put him up there. But then the other two are as Heineke and Garoppolo. Honestly, I think right now, with how he's playing, I think I trust Heineke better. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I think with the schedule that he has and kind of how he's got the team going, I definitely going to go with my guy. I like San Francisco. San Francisco's on fire right now. San Francisco's playing hot, but with Jimmy G, we've always had questions about him. So I think that he would be out before me. Now, obviously, I'm going to put my guys up. We are on a 3-game winning streak. I will say it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, David, again, you guys said it right. That last spot is definitely interchangeable with like 3 or 4 teams.
Right.
But again, it's when are you peaking? When are you playing well? Washington, San Francisco, we're playing well right now. The Rams, like you said, they're not playing well. You know what I mean? And that's a division with San Francisco, one game behind them. Yep. And Arizona, that's a division that, a couple losses, one way or the other, could change things. So that's going to be very, very interesting. We're going to go ahead and quickly move over into the AFC. In the AFC, the number 1 seed at 8-3 is the Baltimore Ravens. Shout out to Nathan Snell. The number 2 seed is the AFC East leading New England Patriots at 8-4.
Mac Jones
definitely said something about that against the 7-seeded Chargers at 6-5.
That's a disappointment.
We'll discuss that one. The Titans are 8-4 as a 3 seed, going against what we did say was disappointment. The 6 seed Buffalo Bills at 7-4.
Definitely disappointment.
And the Chiefs, who are coming and surging, in what would be probably the best game of that weekend. The Chiefs at 7-4 playing the number 5 ranked 7-4 Bengals, who just dusted the Steelers. Nick, real quick, I'm going to come to you.
Yes, sir.
Who is the team that you most believe in the AFC?
Well, I didn't think I'd say this at the beginning of the year, and I didn't, but I did say I would like to see how he progresses. I'm starting to believe in the Patriots, my friend. Mm-hmm. Mac Jones and that defense, which he got all his defense back after they all set out with COVID, and he's playing with a bunch of guys who would probably be on the bench on other teams. So it's really, but he's got a great coach in Belichick. He's got a good coordinator in Josh McDaniel. He's in a system he's already played in college. It's basically the same system he played in college. The kid's very comfortable back there. He's improving week by week, and it's showing. Now they're their division leader now, the Patriots, in a division that had teams that everybody else thought would, So again, for me right now, the Titans are a question mark with all their injuries. I mean, they'll still make the playoffs probably, but there's a lot of injuries there in Tennessee. The Chiefs, still not sure which Chiefs team is going to show up every week. I know they're playing better now, but again, teams have figured out, and Patrick Mahomes just doesn't look his best. The Ravens are a shaky number 1 because again, they live and die with Lamar Jackson, and they still are. You know what I'm saying?
You like the Patriots?
So right now, out of this group, absolutely, I'm riding with Belichick and Mac Jones and going, hey, I like what you guys are doing. I like where you're at, and I like where you're going. So
nice. Dave, do you agree or do you disagree? What do you think?
I'm torn. I still have not given up on Buffalo because we've seen every week that they beat themselves more than anybody else beats them. Mm-hmm. I love Buffalo. I love Josh Allen. However, I am with Nick on right now. If I had to choose today, if it ends today, my money's on the Patriots. I told you guys when Tom Brady won the Super Bowl that as soon as Bill found his quarterback, he'd be back. and here he is. Once again, riding defense and special teams with a smart quarterback who doesn't make mistakes. The same thing I said in the other conference. Stack up the head coaches and the quarterbacks of all these teams. I think Belichick trumps all. Belichick can game plan for each and every one of these teams, and as long as his team doesn't give it away, I think if it ended today, that's where I'm at.
Well, who wouldn't love a Patriots Buccaneers Super Bowl, right?
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Who would not love that one?
Definitely answer that question. Delilah, what do you think as the best team in the AFC?
Man, this is crazy, but like I want the Bengals to go all the way. I know it's so bad. Well, I don't think it's realistic, but I really want them to like just kind of make their run for it. But I think of all these teams, I'm not gonna count out the Bills. But again, 100%, like when like a couple weeks ago, I was at a sports bar and I'm like, hey, the Patriots are winning and Buffalo's messing up. Like they might actually win and blah, blah. And then this guy's looking at me like, you know what you're talking about, which obviously pisses me off. I'm like, yeah, I do know what I'm talking about. Like they're winning, the Bills are losing. The math is simple. So anyway, no, honestly, I think if Bill Belichick does know how to win, but I also have to, like, this is similar to his start with Brady, which is they kind of made the same run. They didn't go all the way, not the first year, but they did make a run. Basically, they were showing how Mac Jones and Tom Brady have similar stats their rookie season. And so I think it's pretty great that he's in the playoffs. I can't see them winning the AFC, but I wouldn't be shocked. I just can't see them going all the way. I wouldn't be surprised for the Bill, but I still don't know if they can go like and win the AFC conference. I still think the Bills edge out just slightly. Only just slightly, but not by much because they've kind of slipped, but
yeah. No doubt. No, I honestly, I think.
Exactly. I agree. I agree with you, Sydney.
Were you talking to me, Delilah?
Yeah, no, sorry. Sydney made a comment. I agree with him too.
I agree with him as well. I do. Okay. It does hurt them, but I think Belichick hurts other teams. Slightly more than Mac, and his experience or lack thereof can hurt them. Because Belichick doesn't let Mac's mistakes hurt them. However, Josh Allen's mistakes, Lamar Jackson's mistakes.
Well, I think in the we're in the NFC. We've talked about everything is led by the quarterback and by the stud quarterback. I think in the AFC, it's led by the coach. You know what I mean? Obviously, we've seen what Belichick is doing with that team, and he's got them looking. Solid for all intents and purposes. I think they should be. I know what the record says, but I think they are the best team. I kind of agree, but I think that goes to Belichick and him knowing how to win. And then you look at the teams that are coaching against him. You have Harbaugh, who's got he got the Super Bowl victories, but he's struggled. You have Vrabel, who does have a good record against Belichick, but it's still that's always gonna kind of still be like an assistant thing. Andy Reid, hey. Last couple of years, he's had his team in the Super Bowl. So, obviously, he's the top of the list, but Belichick is surging. And then you got guys like McDermott in Buffalo. You got Zach Taylor, and you got Brandon Staley. You know what I mean? So, which one of those coaches are you really going to fall behind? And at the end of the day, we all go to the GOAT. We all go to Bill Belichick. He has those guys surging right now. And I honestly think that they are the best team in the AFC just with how they're playing. Not the most talented, but the best, and they're peaking right now. Dave, what you got?
There is something to be said. We as fans look at these situations, but players and other coaches also look at these guys in a professional way. Yeah. And if you're going to sit here and tell me that other coaches and players aren't terrified of Bill Belichick, you're lying.
Of course they are. No, who's going to say that?
They all enjoyed last year. They all enjoyed Tom Brady ascending without Belichick. And now they're looking at Belichick with Mac Jones like, oh, shit.
Exactly. He got his quarterback.
That gets in your head. That gets in your head,
very
man.
True. Very true. Very true. And it's just like Nick Saban in college and all of his assistants. You know what I mean? I think this year was the first year that Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M, beat them. It was the first year that one of his assistants actually came back and beat him. I think he was 25, against them. So it's similar to this. I mean, Belichick, he has it. He has his guy. He has his guys back, his team back. They're playing really good ball right now. Hey, I'm really with them. Hey, shout out to Abs. He said, guys, don't sleep on the Colts. We've already talked about the Colts.
When the Colts pick up Nick Foles, I'll get woke.
Look, as long as the Colts got that Jonathan Taylor running game, man, I'm telling you
that guy's a beast, man.
He's a monster. Pittman didn't have a great game, but he's been playing well, and we can't sleep on Wentz. So yeah, definitely the Colts. But from this picture, Ab, is what we're talking about. Just this 7 game, and obviously as this changes, we'll refresh it and kind of go into it. And real quick, I'll start real quick. Of any team on this list, who's the least reliable, and like I kind of had talked about earlier, I think it's the San Diego Chargers. That goes with coaching. B, I kind of feel like this is where they are. This isn't a shocker to me. I felt like the San Diego Chargers were a good team. They weren't a great team. They have a good quarterback that's playing great, but he's still young. He still got some things he's got to work on. So on all the teams on this list, Buffalo, I agree with you, Delilah, that Buffalo is going to eventually turn back on. The Chiefs are going to turn it back on. The Titans are ready. The Ravens are a team that I'm a little shaky about, but I don't think they're going to fall that far. They've just been finding a way to win with or without Lamar, but I think they go as far as Lamar. But yeah, the Chargers right now on this list, I think, are the only team that I can see not being on this list. So real quick, because we gotta get off soon. I'm gonna come to you, Delilah. Go Delilah, Nick, and Dave, and then we're gonna move on. So Delilah, what team is not on this list, or do you just think it's fine the way it is?
No, I think this is probably. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, who's on the hunt for AFC?
Well, to Ab's point, he was saying in the AFC.
Yeah. The Colts are kind of. I could see the Colts taking number 7.
So you think the Chargers are going to be not? So the Chargers are.
I think the AFC, like we've said, it's more like I feel like the NFC, as we've said, is more solid, and I feel what's going to change is just the rotation, probably, where they're seated might change. But I think we could be probably comfortable that 1 through 6 at least are pretty much playoff bound.
So San Diego, I agree with that.
Yeah, so I could see the Colts taking that 7th spot. However, I feel like. And that's why I'm saying they're the least legit. I think that Week 13 is going to be huge because San Diego plays Cincinnati, and so I think Cincinnati has a shot here of moving up.
Well, right, all these,
or at least
teams,
solidifying 5, right?
Well, yeah,
and
right.
So,
and
yeah,
all these
Chargers.
Teams,
it's a must-win for Chargers, basically, and I think they're the ones that could fall out for sure.
So yeah, but okay, your answer is Chargers. Okay, Nick, real quick, what's your answer?
It may surprise some people, but Buffalo could end up on the wrong end of this. Their next game is against New England, and that's another division game, the conference game. And I'm telling you, the Bills, if they're not careful, will slip right out of this top 7. And I know people are still, the Colts are right there. I think this, as I told you, I think the Steelers are done. I think that a couple of those other teams, there's nobody. The Raiders and all, I think they're all done. But again, I'm going to go ahead and say Buffalo as of right now, as we're looking at it this week. I think they're the team that could slip out.
Nice. Dave, what you got?
How many games between the Ravens and the Chargers, top to bottom? I can't read the screen.
Ravens are 8-3. Chargers are 6-5.
So 3-game swing. Out of all the teams on this list, I gotta go with Cincinnati.
Okay.
with a close second being Baltimore.
Mm.
Interesting. Okay.
I know that's Sid's pick because they don't have a quarterback.
Wow.
We won't go there. Baltimore is too up and down. Cincinnati has been too up and down. The other teams have been fairly consistent, even though they've had bad games. Buffalo has been a big disappointment. But like I said, I'm not counting them out quite yet to be able to turn that offense around and start moving the ball through the air again. Josh Allen has been disappointing. The two teams I don't trust on that list are definitely Baltimore and Cincinnati. And we'll see. I'm not going to count the Colts out, Ab. I'm just counting Carson Wentz out. They may win, but it won't be because of him.
Yeah. They're going to definitely have to run that rock. Yeah, definitely have to run that rock. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we definitely believe that the Colts, eventually, potentially will be on this list. I think each of us have mentioned we like them or
I don't, for the record.
Like what their team has been doing. So, yeah, and that defense is pretty solid. So, but Wentz is definitely a question mark at quarterback.
That was a bad loss last week.
Yes.
That's a psyche killer right there. If that team can actually come back after that loss and be who they were before that, then I'll give them a shot. But that's a soul crushing loss right there.
That's the thing. That's also I don't know. I kind of look at it differently because in my mind it's like we've all been looking at the Colts like the Colts are maybe they're good, maybe they're not, maybe they're good. But then you go up against the Super Bowl champs, and I mean, yeah, you lose in bad fashion, but you still go toe to toe with aforementioned Wentz, and Taylor has a monster game and things like that. I mean, look. The Colts are playing solid, yes, but they're going to go as far as, just like the Ravens, they're going to go as far or as short as the quarterback will take them.
And that's why I think they don't make it.
So it's going to be quite interesting. It's going to be quite interesting, but
they play the Texans week 13.
Hey,
so
they need that W. They absolutely need that W because to be honest with you, if the Titans keep struggling. And the Colts get back on the winning track. The Titans have the tiebreaker. They've won both games against the Colts, but the Colts are right next to them. So the Colts, if they can come up, man, we'll see. We'll definitely see what happens. But, hey, we will definitely break that down. We have to move on. Nick, I'm going to come to you real quick to do the Knicks picks.
Hey, Knicks picks.